Hi guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Today we'll be going over how to go beyond the stigma with mental health, and that is our emotional well-being challenge video for HOSA. My name is Nathan Pan.
I'm Ananth Krishnan.
And I'm Aditya Goparaju.
Throughout this video, we are going to do 10 things. First, theme introduction, initial knowledge check, members' inspirations and goals, our target audience, common myths surrounding mental health, causes and effects, how you can overcome the stigma, how you can encourage others to overcome the stigma, and finally, we'll end up doing an evaluation.
First, we want to give a quick disclaimer. This presentation will cover possible sensitive subjects to many people, such as mental disorders, suicide, self-harm, trauma, and stigmas. It's totally okay to click off this presentation anytime you feel uncomfortable.
Next, we have an activity that we would like to do, which is a fill-in-the-blank worksheet. So this worksheet will be targeted at the content in our presentation, and so you can scan the QR code on your screen to get access to this Word document, and then just copy it and then send it to us when you're done. We're doing this because not only will it help you increase interaction and engagement in our presentation, but it'll also help you, if you need this in the future, it'll be a great future reference to use. And yeah, so at the end, we'll ask you to turn it in through email. So first, let's introduce our theme. So for our presentation and our emotional well-being challenge, we've chosen to go with the theme of going beyond the stigma surrounding mental health, as you can see with our graphic on the right. So our goal here and what this means is that we seek to not only stop these incorrect beliefs that are involved in mental health stigma, but to change and correct them and the underlying perception that from society that create the stigma. And we'll do this by educating ourselves, which we've already done with our research, and you, but the audience, and also promoting more inclusive attitudes and actions that we'll describe later in our presentation.
Next, we'll need you to use your phone to scan this QR code for the pretest. This form will ask for your understanding of mental health stigmas. And remember, this is completely anonymous, so feel free to share your honest responses. And it's okay if you don't feel very knowledgeable about this topic yet. Our goal of this presentation is to help you with that. So pause the video while you finish the form. We are going to move on.
So, now we'll be covering specific inspirations for the members of this presentation. For me personally, I want to become a psychiatrist when I enter the medical professional field. A psychiatrist is a medical professional who specializes in treating mental illnesses and can prescribe medications to people to help resolve their issues. And through this presentation, I will be able to gain a better understanding of how to help patients with these issues and therefore become a better psychiatrist.
When I want to enter the medical field, I want to become a therapist or something related to the topic. And so a therapist, as you may know, is a mental health professional who specializes in dealing with individuals who have a range of mental health conditions. And so through this presentation and also research, therapists can learn how to gain a better understanding of the patients that they are dealing with and to kind of connect with them more emotionally so they can understand them better and understand, like, help them in a better way by understanding the root causes of what really causes the stigma and their causes is what they are feeling.
When I get older, I want to become a pediatrician. And as many of you know, a pediatrician is a medical health professional that specializes in treating patients under the age of 18. I feel like in the process of creating this presentation, I have gained a better understanding of mental health conditions that are very prevalent amongst teenagers. I feel like I've learned a very good way of how to treat them.
So now we all have our future career aspirations, but there's also a more personal aspect to this presentation. We have all experienced firsthand the stigmas facing many of our peers when approaching others for help regarding issues with either their mental or emotional health. For example, for a short time last year, I fell into an emotional state in which I was constantly unhappy and I was struggling to find joy in day-to-day activities. I, following advice from my friends, decided to ask my parents about the possibility of attending therapy in order to help figure out my messy emotional state. However, I was quickly shot down and insulted with words like, "We've given you everything. Why are you unhappy? You're so ungrateful." Even by my parents, the people I trusted most to discuss this with, my personal issues were treated as unimportant and fake. Thankfully, I'm doing far better at this time, but this event granted me perspective on how people with issues with their emotional state are often stigmatized and mistreated. As such, I became determined to help ensure that people of my age would feel more comfortable in reaching out for help from those closest to them. So, now we'll be covering our target audience. 1 in 5 teenagers will suffer from mental health illness in their lifetime, a huge margin. Additionally, 49% of teens worry about their peers judging them for getting help, and 70% of teens, as a result, will never receive the help they need. As such, we have decided to make our target audience teenagers, as through these extremely alarming statistics, we have come to the conclusion that this is the demographic that will need our assistance the most.
So, what are some common misconceptions regarding mental health and mental health stigma? So, one of the common myths is that mental illness is not common at all, which is completely untrue. In fact, more than 50% of people will be diagnosed with some kind of mental illness in their lifetime, which means whenever you're with someone else or in, a classroom or on the bus, the person next to you or a person nearby will, or even you yourself will be diagnosed with a mental illness in some time in their life.
Another common myth is the belief that people with mental illnesses are crazy. In reality, this is completely untrue and is a very harmful stereotype. Anyone can be diagnosed with a mental health illness. Mental illnesses are not a choice. There's no reason to spread this myth.
Finally, another common misconception is that people will be able to snap out of their mental health issues. However, in reality, mental health issues are caused by a variety of outside factors, meaning that even if a person tries their hardest to make a change within their own personal lifestyle, the outside factors will not allow them to fully be able to get better, and they always may require outside help.
So now let's go over some of the causes of mental health stigma. We'll be covering 4 main causes, which are the historical beliefs, the lack of understanding in the peers and others, a fear and ignorance that is caused by mental health conditions, and also the role social media plays in causing mental health stigma.
The first one we'll be talking about is the beliefs of mental illnesses in the past. Like for like hundreds of years, especially highlighted in the Salem witch trials, people believe that if you were to have mental illnesses, it was due to demonic forces. Because of this, people didn't treat mental illnesses as mental conditions and inherently placed the fault more on the individual.
Also, there has been a significant lack of understanding among the community regarding mental health illnesses. Until recently, mental illnesses were not well understood even by the medical community, who makes it their job to understand the medical issues that many people face. And this has led to the perception that mental illnesses can easily be overcome by power and do not really need to be looked at by the medical community, which is an extremely harmful stereotype and can limit people from getting the assistance they need in dealing with their issues.
Another common cause of mental health stigma is the fear and ignorance that is contributed and surrounding these mental health. And this is kind of caused because there's an idea that people with these mental health conditions are dangerous or unpredictable. And this can lead to further stigmatized attitudes, and also discrimination towards these individuals.
Finally, the last cause we will talk about is the media. The media has perpetuated the stigmas behind mental health due to the idea that everyone has a voice on social media. This has led people to create stigmas about people with mental illnesses that are very harmful.
Finally, we'll be looking at some major effects. One of them is suicide. 14% of deaths in the US come as a result of mental health issues, and people that are unable to face them and as a result take their own life.
So another major effect of mental health stigma is the social isolation that individuals can feel when they go through these conditions. And this feelings can be things such as loneliness, disconnect, and like feel like they can't reach out to others for help. And this can lead them to feel like they have reduced social support. And especially for students, especially for teenagers, this is especially prevalent because they're so focused on their studies or they're so focused on, their individual life that it sometimes becomes hard to reach out for help. And especially if you are, focusing on a lot of things. So this is another really prevalent effect that can affect teenagers.
Lastly, what are the major effects of mental illness stigma? We'll be talking about is bullying. The perpetuated stigma behind mental health has allowed people to justify making fun of somebody because of their mental health condition, and this is in the form of bullying.
So, there are several ways that you will be able to help overcome the stigma surrounding mental health. First, you can seek further resources. At our own local high school, Skyline High School, there are a wide variety of resources you can use to be able to help overcome several of these issues. First is the National Honor Society Peer Tutors Program, which has upperclassmen that are willing to talk or just listen to you if you need it. Secondly, we have our amazing guidance counselors, who are always willing to lend an ear and can help you provide you resources and advice regarding your mental health issues. Next, we have clubs, sports, and interest groups who can help you find groups of people that relate to you and can better listen to you. And also, we have social emotional learning lessons that are provided by our own school, which cover a wide variety of situations and how to respond in a beneficial way to your own mental health. Also, there are a wide variety of helplines that you can call if you need it, and also the email of our Skyline Swedish mental health counselor. You can pause the video now and read and note down all of these resources if needed.
So let's talk about how you can overcome the stigma. Let's talk about how you can overcome the stigma in another way, which is talking to family and friends. So there are a lot of pros that come with doing this. For example, as we talked about earlier, this can reduce feelings of loneliness and isolation when you reach out to others. And you can also promote your overall well-being by, when you get help from others, you'll feel, more supported. You'll be able to do all the things that you wanted to. And lastly, it will help you get help surrounding your mental health condition. So what are some tips in reaching out to find the best and most effective way of doing so and overcoming the stigma? One of the tips is that you want to find a method of communication you feel is right. And this could be through Zoom, it could be through, a call, any way that you feel is right and will allow you to express yourself properly without making it difficult for you in any way. And also next, you should find a suitable time and place. So maybe, a time isn't right for you, but maybe you want to do it at night or when you feel more comfortable expressing yourself, or you have more time and are able to kind of fully express yourself. So find a time that works for you the best. Next, remember to be open and honest. You want to get these help from people that you trust, and these people understand, and you need to understand that they will support you no matter what is said. So make sure to be open and honest to receive the best help that you can get. And lastly, practice what you want to say. Make sure that you come up with things you want to say to ensure that your conversations are effective and efficient. Now that we've talked a little about the ways that we can overcome the stigma, both for yourself and others, let's do a little activity, which we call mindfulness exercise. So the mindfulness exercise, there's a lot of them that we'll be doing today is deep breathing, and that will reduce stress and anxiety and also promote reflection. So there are 6 steps in this process. So if you want to pause the video and then go through the steps after I read them, please go ahead to do so. First, find a quiet place to sit or lie down. Then close your eyes until you're comfortable. And then take a slow, deep breath through your nose. And then hold your breath for 10 seconds. After that, slowly exhale through your mouth. And repeat this process and make sure to focus on the movement of the breath. So now if you would like to pause the video to do that, please feel free to. And there are multiple benefits to why we're doing this mindfulness exercise. First, it allows us to become more aware of our feelings, thoughts, behaviors in an environment where we feel comfortable and without any judgment or criticism from others. Next, it allows us to be more self-aware of ourselves through that reflection. And then through that, we'll learn to recognize any of the symptoms that we may have due to a mental health condition. because of that reflection that we've done.
Step 3 is to avoid using trigger words. By using these words, you are perpetuating and belittling people with mental illnesses. Instead, try to use words that are less belittling and self-deprecating. Again, these are just a few examples. So if you want to look into more examples of phrases to use, there are tons of other terms on the internet to aid your journey on going beyond the stigma.
Next, let's talk about how you can encourage others to overcome the stigma. The first step is to advocate. Spread awareness and support various different mental health institutions that people can turn to if they ever need help with their mental health issues. Next, you can listen. Everyone with mental health illnesses will always need someone to listen to them, and you can help this by communicating and understanding those around you. Third, you can lead by example and encourage others to seek help from friends, family, and professionals if they need it. And finally, you can use positive language, as we just covered, to help destigmatize mental health.
So we've also included the SAMHSA link for it's a hotline that for anything that regarding mental health disorders, and it's 24/7 and it's free of charge. So if you want to go and scan this QR code, if you want to reach out, this is one of the most efficient and easiest ways to do so.
Now, let's do a quick activity that regards the idea of mental health stigmas. Okay, so the first one is it's a two truths and a lie. So the first one is the average delay between symptoms and treatment is 11 years. The next one is the COVID pandemic nearly doubled mental health issues among adolescents. And the third one is mental health issues did not happen as much to older generations. So two of these are true, and there's one lie. So I'll give you, if you want, you can pause the video to try to figure out which one. But we're going to move on to the next slide, which shows the solution.
So, the first two of them were true. However, mental health issues did impact the previous generation. However, due to the stigmatization of mental health issues, they were not widely discussed.
So thank you so much for taking the time today to listen to our presentation on going beyond the stigma regarding mental health. So to end off this presentation, we'd like you to fill out another final knowledge check to check what you've learned and help us improve our presentation in the future. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch our presentation, and I hope you've learned a lot through this video. Okay, now let's do an activity. Let's use what we've learned in a real life situation. So the situation is going to be about a person, and then there'll be some questions to ask. So if I'm going to read that out loud to you now. Mike is a 16-year-old teenager who has always been an outgoing and happy kid, who enjoys playing basketball, hanging out with friends, and listening to music. However, over the past few months, Mike has been feeling increasingly anxious and depressed. He finds it hard to focus on his studies, and his grades are starting to slip. He's also been skipping basketball practice, which was once his favorite activity. Mike feels himself getting more and more withdrawn over time. He feels lonely and disconnected from his friends and family. He no longer enjoys the things that used to bring him joy, and he feels hopeless about the future. Even worse, Mike is being bullied for being socially unavailable by his peers. Mike is considering accessing help, but is unafraid of what his peers and family will think. So, in the comments of this video, or if you want to shoot us a message, answer these questions. If you were Mike, what would you do? What are some common causes and effects of mental health stigma do you see that we've learned about today? And then how can you help Mike? What are some things a friend should do? Okay, to end off this video, we'd like to introduce one last activity that you can do after the video is over, which is the month-long challenge. And there are multiple reasons why we want you to do this. First, it will allow you to apply what you've learned to real life and make a true impact on yourself and those around you. And it'll also promote self-care and promote real changes. And as you can see, it's a month-long challenge, which means that for each day of the month, we'd like you to do something regarding to mental health stigma and overcoming it. For example, for day 1, we want you to research and learn about a mental disorder and then teach it to someone else. And on day 2, we want you to spend 30 minutes doing mindful exercises, like the ones we taught you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay, we're done. Yay. Oh, we're